Hello friends, Adam here with FED. Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Lights re-released, coming in English for the first time ever, is out very soon, like literally a week away from today, and I'm really excited about it. But being that it is the first game in a very long-running series, it is pretty different from what we play now today with modern entries like Three Houses, Awakening of Fates. So I decided to make a series of guides to help you, or really just to ease you in to FE1 and its little idiosyncrasies and the hard things to control, like what really make it hard to control more than anything. And this guide really should apply to the re-release, but because based on the trailers, it looks like everything we are going to talk about today will still apply. Who knows, they might add a few more text prompts here or there to make it a little more intuitive. But regardless, I think this will still be helpful, especially for those who have never played any of the older Fire Emblem games. So today we're going to be talking about basic controls, and I know you're thinking, it's a Fire Emblem game, how hard can the basic controls really be? And they're pretty cumbersome. They're pretty cumbersome by today's standards. So even just moving units can be really odd feeling at first, and this is because there were so few buttons on the NES controller. The developers of FE1 had to use some creative means to allow the player to do everything that they would need to be able to do in a strategy game. So this is the process of moving units in FE1. And again, it feels awkward and weird at first, but you get used to it the more you play. So if you select a unit with the A button, you will see this screen giving some basic details about the selected unit. Pressing A again will cause a more detailed stat screen to appear, and then pressing A one more time will make the action menu appear. And when I say action menu, I mean the thing that allows you to attack, use items, wait, or enter shops, and whatever else, and we're going to talk about that more in a minute. Nowhere in any of those screens did it prompt you to move a unit. So to move your unit, all you need to do is press any button on the D-pad, or I assume with the re-release you'll be able to use the joystick. But you press any button on the D-pad or move the joystick in any direction, while either of the first two stat screens are shown, you'll be able to move the cursor again while the unit is selected. So you won't be shown the range of your movement like you would in like FE3 onwards, but the game will force you to keep the cursor within the unit's move range, so it's not that big a deal. It can just be a bit cumbersome, especially when dealing with terrain. It can be a little misleading how far your unit can actually move when you don't have like the blue squares pop up like we have now. But you'll get used to it, and it's kind of a feel thing as well. You'll begin to feel it out and feel good about it. The same goes for checking enemy range. You just kind of you really can't in this game. The only way to really check enemies is just to like press A on them and you can see their stats just like you do with your own unit, but you can't check how far they can move other than like you see their move stat, which is like 6 on like a brigand, and then you have to just kind of count it out yourself. So it's kind of annoying that way, but hey, it's the first game in the series, it's kind of how it's going to be. Next, I want to talk about performing actions. Most of them are pretty straightforward, but there is one in particular that I'm going to spend a minute on because it is not intuitive whatsoever, especially considering most of us are coming off of playing Three Houses and the like. Really, there are two ways to access the action menu to perform these actions. You can either press the A button on the unit 3 times without moving it to make it appear, like I showed you in the previous example, or the menu will just pop up after selecting a space for a unit to move to. Attacking is pretty straightforward and similar to other games. Just place a unit next to an enemy and select the attack option and the weapon you want to use. Then the battle will happen. You won't see a battle forecast like you do again in more modern Fire Emblem games, and I'll talk about that more later and how you can really talk about the calculations, all that, so you can figure it out on your own if you really want to. But suffice it to say, you just select the enemy, select your weapon, attack, and it's good to go. Next, let's talk about using and trading items. This is really where it begins to be a bit awkward in FE1. All function regarding items are done through the action menu option item. In this translation, I imagine it'll still be item, or maybe items, or something like that in the official NOA translation. But when selected, you will be prompted to select an item after you select the item option. You'll just have an item menu pop up. Here I believe I have it showing Jagan, who has a silver lance and an iron sword just in his inventory. And first you have to select one of them, and then it gives you another menu that pops up with more options that basically just allow you to do whatever you want with this item. And those 3 options here will allow you to equip or use the item, like if it's like a vulnerary or something like that. Give the item to an adjacent ally, which really replaces trading effectively, or you can just discard the item or throw it away. So trading is not done in a separate menu as it is in Three Houses or basically every other Fire Emblem game, and it's really, really cumbersome. Like, it's really cumbersome. You have to select the weapon that you want to trade, click trade, then select the unit you want to trade to. It's just a few more button presses, and it takes a little longer than you would like. And it's just kind of counterintuitive, but it also means you can't do, there aren't very many like really cool trade strats you can do like you can in more modern games, but you can still give items around if you need to. Other options such as visiting villages and shops, or using armories and vendors will appear where applicable, but those are pretty self-explanatory. The only thing I really need to mention here is that the big villages, the ones that take up multiple tiles, only Marth can visit those. Only the main character can visit those, because story reasons, and it's just that's just the gameplay they went with. And the smaller one-tile houses, anyone can visit those, but they only contain NPCs that tell stories or give gameplay hints. So those really aren't that important to visit unless you're trying to take in the entire experience or whatever. But you definitely want to visit the bigger villages with Marth, because I'm pretty sure they always do, if not it's almost always, contain money, an item that's really good or important, or just like a recruitable character, which of course you want because you want to recruit everybody, because it's Fire Emblem, that's the whole thing. And finally, there's one more command, which is just the seize command. That's how you win the map. It only appears when Marth is on an enemy gate or throne. So basically wherever the boss was, you kill the boss, and then Marth moves onto that spot. And you use seize, and it completes the map. So I think that'll do for like the basic controls of FE1. Man, it is cumbersome, and I get that. But I think it is going to be worth playing in the end. I hope everybody who loves Fire Emblem or loves Three Houses at least shows interest in this game. It's only going to be like $6, like $5.99 or whatever it is, which is like nothing for a video game. I understand it's a really old video game, but it's still going to, you can still sink quite a few hours into FE1. And there are some really fun exploits and things you can do, and things that we'll talk about in more guides through the following week, and maybe just the week after FE1 if I'm still feeling like talking about it at that point. But we're definitely going to do some more guides to talk about some really interesting things regarding enemy AI. And also we'll talk about calculations and how all that works and everything. But yeah, so stay tuned for that. Make sure to subscribe if you aren't, so you don't miss any of those videos. And if you enjoyed this video and you know people who are excited to play FE1 for the first time, please share this with them. I would really appreciate it. Liking and subscribing is great, and it's and awesome, and sharing helps the channel grow so much. So anything you can do, I just am so appreciative of, really. And of course, check out tonight's live stream. We're going to be having a blast and have some fun. But yeah, thanks for watching, friends. I really appreciate it, and I'll catch you next time.